What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Brittany Automotive. Today we are talking about the new intake. I told you guys I was going to be talking about the Nitrous system and how that works because it's not just your regular system. And also I wanted to do a spray test on the bench. So we're going to do that with whatever Nitrous I have from last season. But first, I want to talk about Nitrous and how it works. So we all know you need air, fuel, and spark for an engine to run. Well, with the addition of air, you can also have more fuel, which in turn makes more power. You can only fit so much of that into a cylinder, so what you have to do is you have to force it in there, hence why you have turbos and prochargers and all of that good stuff. But here, Nitrous is a little more sneaky. You can sneak the air in there and in turn add more fuel and get more power out of it. Nitrous is considered N2O, so it's 2 nitrous atoms and an oxygen. It comes out of these bottles that are pressurized. The harder they get, the more pressurized they get, and it turns into a gas and it expands. So once it gets into the cylinder, the 2 nitrous atoms let go of the oxygen. So the oxygen is now working by itself. It's mixed with the fuel, hence why you can get a bigger bang for your buck. So there's a couple different systems with Nitrous that you can do. You can do it directly into the intake like I have here, or like my old setup where it's not directly into the intake, it's actually just after the throttle body, and then the solenoid is off to the side, which I can shake. Yeah. You can also do what's called a wet or dry system. The current setup is dry and the new setup is dry, although it looks like it would be a wet system, so that's what I want to get into. Basically, the differences between a wet and a dry system is the addition to fuel beforehand. So dry systems, you're not adding any fuel with the nitrous as it moves into the intake or into the cylinder. A wet system is actually having the nitrous and the fuel move together. With having a dry setup, you have to still add more fuel because if you're adding nitrous, you're adding more oxygen, you still need more fuel. That's typically where the confusion comes, and that's why people think nitrous is a little more dangerous because that can cause a big boom. But on a dry system, you do have to add more fuel, so typically you just do that through the computer and you add more fuel that way, which is what I am doing because I said this is a dry system. Now this does not look like a dry system. Even on these little ports here, it does say fuel and N2O, but it's all N2O. Hence why we've got 2 really big solenoids here on either side. Each one of these lines are flowing pure N2O. So there is no fuel being added from the system. It's all coming from the ECU. Now on my intake, I got a lot of questions about this. You can see the injector holes on this intake as if it's a port injection car. It is not. It is a direct injection car still. I'm going to try to figure out the direct injection this year, but I did end up getting a port injected intake, and we are going to be plugging those holes with just some fake injectors. That's all you really need. You can plug those holes for the season, and then later on, when it does need to be port injected, then I don't have to worry about getting another intake. We can still use this one. Now, as we talked about, the old setup is releasing nitrous before the intake. This one is really forcing air straight through the runners here. What this does is allow you to push as much air into that cylinder as you can, in turn, making more horsepower. One more question I did get on this intake is it going to fit under the hood or the cowl? No, it's probably not. I do expect it to fit under the hood, possibly. Possibly. There's a possibly on that one. The cowl, though? No. We will be cutting that. Hopefully we don't have to notch the windshield or anything, but it's just what it comes with when you got a cool intake, you know? You gotta do some fabrication. Okay, and now enough with the nerd talk and explaining this. I really want to go flow this on the bench, so let's go do it. Fill it.
I feel like does this not look like it's...
Welcome to Motor Trend.
Yeah.
Broccoli, how do you feel about nitrous out west? You like them? You like them? Yeah, you like them. Action. My OCD says I have to pull all the same wire from the solenoids. Same location. were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish, shimmering in the sun, such a rare one, can't believe that you got one. If I were a fish and you got me, you'd say, look at that fish. Don't do the full test on that.